privileged to be here with each and every one of you. And I want to salute the leadership of NCCM who brought us together, beginning with Brother Steve. And I think there's 3 Omars now I got to keep in contact with. And there's my dear sister New Saber and Aisha. It goes on and on and on. Give it up for their vision. Give it up for their courage. Give it up for their sacrifice. And I must say, when I heard my dear sister Mayor speaking from Toronto, we don't have politicians like that in the American empire for the most part. We've got so much to learn from Canada. But I live in Harlem, Manhattan, where 25% of the people live in poverty, and 1 out of 24 are millionaires, and maybe Brother Soran's gonna make it different. He's my brother too. But Sister Olivia, we salute you. But let the word go here and now that we are here to stand with our precious Palestinian brothers and sisters in Gaza, in the West Bank. We shall never, ever, ever allow genocide and ethnic cleansing and apartheid to have the last word. God is not mocked. You're going to reap what you sow. Resistance and remembrance and reverence will, in the end, triumph. That's what we're here to do. To refortify ourselves. To not give in to the bitter cup of cynicism and fatalism and nihilism and giving up and selling out and caving in. No, we here in Canada, we here, even those of us from the American Empire say, we stand with our precious Palestinian brothers and sisters, and we shall be faithful unto death. That's why I'm here. I'm here because it's a matter of the way I was raised and reared by Irene and Clifton West on the chocolate side of Sacramento, California. I'll never be one half of the human beings they were. And they said, Cornel, always be a face for good. If the kingdom of God is within you, then everywhere you go, you ought to leave a little heaven behind. And in order to leave heaven behind, it means you are fundamentally committed to truth. And the condition of truth is to allow suffering to speak. And you're always committed to justice. And justice ain't nothing but what love looks like in public. Because any justice has only justice soon degenerates into something less than justice. The great traditions of Judaism and Christianity and Islam say mercy and love always cut deeper than justice. If you don't have a deep commitment to a love and a mercy that allows you to empty yourself and give of the best of yourself in solidarity with others. And I cannot overemphasize solidarity at this particular moment. Because I'm living in the belly of the U.S. imperial beast. But it's not new for me. Because I've come from a great black tradition of a great black people who have been hated chronically every day, every month, every year for 400 years. 244 years of barbaric white supremacist slavery, where the average slave died at 27 years old, and then another 100 years of neo-slavery of Jim and Jane Crow, where every 2.5 days for 50 years there was some precious black body swaying in the southern breeze, as Billie Holiday put it in Strange Fruit. That's called lynching. That's being terrorized for 400 years, traumatized for 400 years. But I stand as a small exemplar of a magnificent black people who, in the face of hatred, dished out love warriors every generation. could just stop and listen, allow you to hear John Coltrane's Love Supreme. That acknowledgement, the psalm, the resolution of Stevie Wonder's Love and the Need of Love, or have you read Toni Morrison's Beloved, or James Baldwin's love-soaked essays. Oh yes, all of that bombardment of hatred targeting black people, and yet here come love warriors teaching the world so much about love, inseparable from justice, tied to mercy. And in my case, of course, as a Jesus-loving free black man, it had to do with the Christian faith. But I don't exist without Malcolm X. I don't exist without Muhammad Ali. I don't exist without Naima Coltrane. I don't exist without Ella Little. All of those black Islamic voices in the rich black freedom struggle, grounded in a love, in a freedom, grounded in a healing. Because when you're traumatized, you have a choice. You can become a wounded herder, or you can become a wounded healer. And healing is fundamentally all about trying to ensure that we accent the best in ourselves. When I talk about hatred, when I talk about traumatizing, when I talk about terrorizing, when I talk about organized greed, that is also inside of me on the battlefield of the Civil War taking place on my own soul. That's why God, that's why faith, that's why being tied to something bigger than me makes all the difference in the world, because this is not about tribalism. This is not about collective egoism. This is about truth. This is about justice. And when I say, I love my precious Palestinian brothers and sisters, I'm not talking about hating anybody. Oh no! I've been called an anti-Semite 45 years since Edward Said and Noam Chomsky and I marched in front of the New York Times just to get them to use the word occupation rather than disputed territories. Why? We said, quit lying, New York Times. You've been lying too long. Tell the truth, and the condition of truth is that suffering. When I got on the plane and I was told, Lord, you know, Brother Wesley, telling lies about you in Canada. You got this hatred of Israel. You hate Jews. I said, get off the crack pipe. I hate Israeli occupation. I hate apartheid. I hate ethnic cleansing. I hate making any people, no matter who they are. There could be black folk on the south side of Chicago. There could be poor whites in Kentucky. There could be Jews in Pittsburgh being viciously attacked. There could be Palestinians having their humanity rendered invisible. There could be the young sisters in Iran. There could be Uyghurs in China. This is a moral issue. It is a spiritual issue. When you hate domination, when you hate injustice, when you hate subjugation, when you hate genocide and hate ethnic cleansing, you hate it across the board, be it in Sudan, be it in Haiti, be it in Toronto. Don't get it twisted. This is not about hating people, this is about hating injustice. So don't be discouraged when you engage in name calling and finger pointing. I say to myself, I don't ask for anybody's permission as to who I love. So when I talk about my love of Palestinians, it's not just because of my deep connection with Brother Edward Said from 45 years ago, and I continue to be true to that deep friendship. But it has to do with choosing to be a certain kind of human being in my short trek from my mama's womb to tomb, so that I can live a life of some integrity and honesty and decency and compassion. And if you connect it to a religious tradition, it means that you have a little help, you got a little aid, you got some support. Because I don't know about you, I got a whole lot of gangster in me. Oh, yeah. I got a whole lot of gangster in me. It's partly because I try to sustain sensitivity to people who are suffering. So then you're willing to pay any cost. Then you're willing to deal with any consequence. Name calling, bullets, jail, whatever it is, even if they try to kill you, that's all right. That's what you've been called to do, to bear witness to a truth that's bigger than you. And yet, at the same time, I recognize it. In my case, if I had met Jesus and became a redeemed sinner with gangster proclivities, I would have lost out on the love. And the fruit of love is always joy. And I see with my dear brother Omar, beautiful work being done. When you look in the eyes and see the sparkle of the precious Palestinian children and innocent folk, and say, how after 20,000 children murdered, every university demolished, most of the hospitals gone, 90% of the buildings gone, still standing tall and sending a message to the world. We are still here. We are still in motion. We are still struggling. We are still resisting. We are still bearing witness for truth and justice. That ought to buoy us up to do even more in the diaspora for our Palestinian brothers and sisters. Oh, yeah. And that's what we did in the 80s with Mandela in South Africa. Yes, we had sanctions. Yes, we had boycotts. Yes, we had divestment. That's a nonviolent form of being in deep solidarity. And the most crucial message to always send is to let any oppressed people know, and in this case, Palestinians, that we care. That you really matter, that you count, that we will never live in whatever level of luxury in the new world without connecting our destiny to the destiny of those who the world at large says they don't count. That's why international law is spiritually bankrupt. That's why all the talk about human rights seems so spiritually vacuous. That's why all the talk about rule of law is so morally empty. Pretty words on paper. But where's the practice when you really test it? And the anti-Palestinian racism and hatred, not just in Israel, but in the world. The anti-Islamic hatred, not just in Israel, but the world. It's not just sad and sick, but it's something that we have to shatter in our own work and solidarity together. The moral dimension always is what? We would be doing the same thing if it was any oppressed people. The exact same thing as any oppressed people. I tell my black brothers and sisters all the time, if there was 400 years of black supremacy and white folk have been treated the way black people have, I'm struggling against black supremacy. Why? Because it's not a question of skin pigmentation. It's a question of your morality and your spirituality and the calling from a God that tells you, find a way of leaving some heaven behind in your words, in your voice, in your action, in your deeds to lay the seeds. And that's so wonderful about this gathering. Because I can just feel the spirit of an uplifted morality and spirituality. And I also hope you allow some finances to flow. Oh yes, thank you so very much. Stay strong in what you're doing. So glad to be here, so blessed to be here, and hope that you remain consistent and constant in what you're doing.
Thank you so much for those powerful words. Our next speaker is Ada Downey, former CEO of